Hey there, guys. I'm back. It's been a while, but we just got a lot of new support for a deck that I've been really looking forward to, Infernoble Knights. It's kind of been a deck that has been pretty dead for a long time, maybe for the past 2 years now, or year and a half. It's been lacking a lot of consistency tools, and I think really big cards at the end of their boards that this new support really helped with. So I figured I'd go ahead and make a deck profile with some combos in the video, just kind of give you guys an idea of what this deck can do. So the new support that we got was Emperor Charles the Great, which is an insane boss monster. This guy is crazy. We also received, I think, Angelica, Princess of Noble Arms. I think she's new. I can't remember. But we got her, and she is extremely important for a lot of the combos that I'm going to show off today. Actually, probably all the combos. Really good combo card. We also got, I think, Turpin and Ricardetto. Both really important cards for the combos that we're going to show off. Turpin can revive itself, and Ricardetto can special summon itself and revive another monster. Both insanely strong cards. We also got Noble Arms Museum. This card is basically a search. We usually only use it for a couple of our equip cards. We'll use it for Durandal. And then we'll also use it for either Joyeuse or Almas. Either one is usually going to be what we're grabbing. I guess that's all three of the Noble Arms cards, but yeah, it's a search for an equip card, which is important for later. And it also allows us to special summon an equipped Infernoble monster in the equip zone. So really good card. It's also grabbed off of Angelica, so it's kind of a... both are very important together. And then I believe that is the gist of the new cards for the deck. The rest is pretty standard Infernoble fare. But I'll go ahead and go through the deck list now. Typical hand traps are going to be in here, so we'll go through them. I'm only running one Duel. You can spec in more Duel, either 2 Duel or 3, and you can remove infinite impermanence, but I'm only running the infinite impermanence for a target for crossout designators, so. 1 Duel, 3 Renowned. The number on him can vary, but I'm running 3 for this. Fire Flint Lady. It can be a good extender or just a good target for some of the combos. We have 1 Ricardetto. We have 3 Max C. 1 Neospatian Aqua Dolphin. 2 Ash Blossoms. You can spec in 3 for this too if you want and get rid of a Droll or an Imperm. Depends on what you want to do. 3 Neospace Connectors. 2 Infernoble Knight Ogier. 1 Infernoble Knight Oliver. 1 Infernoble Knight Malgus. 1 Infernoble Knight Turpin. And 1 Immortal Phoenix Gearfried. For the spell cards, we've got a lot. We have 1 Rhoda. We have 3 Heritage of the Chalice. This is basically a Rhoda for our Infernoble cards. Very good. We have a Broken Bamboo Sword and a Cursed Bamboo Sword. We have Living Fossil. We have 2 Durandals. We have 1 Joyeuse. 1 Almas. 1 Angelica's Angelic Ring. 3 Noble Arms Museum. 2 Called by the Graves. 1 Crossout Designator. And 1 Infinite Impermanence. I forgot to mention this is also a new card, but that's neither here nor there. It's really important for later though. 1 Infernoble Knight Captain Roland. You can spec in 2 for this guy. can switch around your extra deck if you like. Probably, you could actually probably get rid of Zeus, but I like Zeus for obvious reasons. 2 Angelica Princess of Noble Arms, 2 Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Artorigus King of the Noble Knights, 1 Zeus, 2 Emperor Charles the Great, 2 Isolde, 1 Ferocious Flame Swordsman, 1 Promethean Princess, and then 1 Appaloosa. And that about does it for that. I guess from here, I'll go ahead and take you guys over to some combos. See you there. All right. So we'll go ahead and start this off by showing you a 1-card combo with Neospace Connector. This is probably going to be your most used starter. That's why we run 3 in the deck. Very, very strong card for this deck. I think he's the only... well, this and Rhoda are the only 1-card starters that we have in the deck. And yeah, we'll go ahead and start this off. So we normal summon Neospace Connector, and we use its effect to special summon out Neospatian Dolphin. At this point, you can either choose to use his effect or not. You almost always want to do this, but maybe there's stuff in your hand that you don't want to get rid of. You use his effect to discard 1 card. We'll just go ahead and get rid of the Ogier here. It doesn't matter. And then you get to look at your opponent's hand, and then you get to... first, you get hand knowledge. Second, you can actually use this effect to target a monster in their hand, and if it has an attack less than or equal to monsters that you control on the board, you can destroy that monster. So because I have an 800 attack monster, I can actually target this 800 attack monster they have in their hand, target it, and it'll get destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Basically, this is going to get used to get rid of hand traps, Ash Blossom, Max C, Droll, those things. But if you don't get any of those, you also will just get hand knowledge on your opponent. So from here, we're going to go into Isolde. So Isolde has a couple effects. The first one is a when link summoned effect. This effect isn't super important. A lot of people might ash this, thinking that they're going to stop your combo, and it does practically nothing. It can be somewhat important for some combos, depending on what you're doing, because she's actually going to grab us some discard fodder for other cards' effects. But otherwise, it's not super important that this goes off. So don't worry if it does get interrupted by something. But we'll go ahead and activate her effect. And we'll just go ahead and grab Fire Flint Lady. For the purposes of this combo, it doesn't really matter what we're grabbing. You could grab a Neospace Connector. If you're running some other cards that can, I think, I can't think of it what it's called. It's a 7 rank fire monster that can special summon itself. You can grab whatever you want for turn 2, but for this one, we're going to grab Fire Flint Lady. But you need to be careful what you're grabbing here, because the card that you're grabbing, it cannot be normal summoned or set or special summoned with that name, and they cannot activate their effects. So make sure you're not grabbing any of your Infernoble cards or Gearfried, or else you basically screw yourself. So we're going to go ahead and grab Fire Flint Lady. From here, we're going to go ahead and activate her effect and send 4 cards to the grave. This activated effect specifies that you can send 4 different equip cards with different names to your graveyard, and then special summon 1 warrior monster whose level is equal to those equip cards. So for this combo, we want Ogier. She's a 4-star combo, or a 4-star monster, so we're going to send 4 equip cards. The equip cards we're going to send are Angelica's Angelic Ring. This card is very important. We always want to send this. And then the other cards we want to send are Joryuse, Durendal, and the Cursed Bamboo Sword. Cursed Bamboo Sword we need to send so we can get an equip card with Broken Bamboo Sword. And then Durendal is going to come into play later. I can't remember if Joyeuse does. We'll get there when we get there. But these two are the most important things to send for right now. So we send those 4. And we're going to grab Ogier. We activate Ogier's first, and then Bamboo Sword second. This is going to be less important when we get Phoenix Gearblade, because that effect just adds itself back from the graveyard. Bamboo Sword grabs a card from the deck, so it could get ashed. So both of these are going to get screwed over by ash, I'm pretty sure. But either way, we activate Ogier's effect and then Bamboo Sword. This is going to grab our Broken Bamboo Sword. And then Ogier is going to send Turpin. Ogier technically has the same job as Angelica, but depending on which card you send with one or the other is going to send the other one. They both have the job to send either Turpin or Gearfried to the graveyard. But for this combo, Ogier is going to send Turpin. Later on, Angelica will send Gearfried. So we'll go ahead and send Turpin. And then we're going to go ahead and use the Broken Bamboo Sword and equip it to Ogier. Turpin, all the Infernoble Knight monsters have an effect that they can equip themselves to a monster on the board. But Turpin has a secondary effect where if you have a monster with an equip on it, you can special summon him from the graveyard. So now we go ahead and grab him. And then we're going to go... Oh, that's right. That's why we send those cards. Duh. We go into this guy. He's got a weird name. Doesn't matter. Artorius, whatever you want to call him. So when he's summoned, we do want to activate his effect. And this will grab these equip spells from our graveyard. Yeah, so it's very important that when you use Isolde's effect that you send Joyeuse and Durendal. Keep that in mind because we need it for this effect right here. So we'll go ahead and activate Durendal's effect. And we need to add Ricardetto, I believe. Yeah, Ricardetto. I don't know why I said it that way. We don't want to activate Joyeuse's effect because we're going to go ahead and go into Promethean Princess. And when Joyeuse is sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, you can activate its effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard because the equipped monster is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one fire warrior monster from your hand, and we're going to target Ricardetto for that. Each Infernoble Arms card has only one effect that you can activate per turn. So you have to keep in mind which ones you've used, and try not to use, other effects before you screw yourself. So we use Joyeuse's effect to summon out Ricardetto. And then we immediately use Ricardetto's effect to special summon out either Ogier or Turpin. It does not matter which one you grab, but we'll go ahead and just grab Turpin here. All we need is a level 4 body on the field. We are going to activate Promethean Princess's effect. This also doesn't technically matter when you use it, but we'll go ahead and get to that later. We want to special summon out Angelica. And we need to activate her effect on special summon. So she grabs us our Noble Arms Museum. And then we are going to use either OG or Turpin. Again, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to go ahead and use Turpin's effect here. To equip itself to Angelica. When Angelica is targeted, which when you equip a spell, it targets her, you can click effect and send one Fire Warrior monster from your deck to the graveyard. And if you do, banish this card until the end phase. Then special summon one Roland monster from your deck or extra deck. So, we target her. We're going to activate her effect. She is going to send Gearfried. So like I said, Ogier and Angelica have similar jobs. They both will send either Turpin or Gearfried, but for this combo, she is sending Gearfried. And then she banishes herself to special summon a Roland straight from the extra deck. Captain Roland. Yeah, so Roland is a tuner, and we need to get to Infernoble Emperor Charles. So now we're going to use Promethean Princess's effect. You can just reborn one fire monster from your graveyard. Her effect can grab any fire monster. It can even grab Gearfried, so keep that in mind. But we're going to go ahead and grab Turpin. We just need a level 4. So we can synchro into Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles. Alright, now we need to use Noble Arms Museum. It's not super important when you use this either, but you need to make sure that you have it for the second time we're going to get Charles out. So we're going to go ahead and activate this effect to grab the other Infernoble Arms card that we haven't used, Almas. We've already used Durendal and we've already used Joyeuse. You can kind of keep that in mind. You can look at which ones you've activated to know which one you need to grab if you're confused by the names. But we grab Almas here. So now we're going to use Roland to equip itself to Emperor Charles. When Emperor Charles, or when a card is equipped with something on the field, Emperor Charles can activate his effect to destroy a monster on the field. We use his effect to destroy Promethean Princess, and we do that for multiple reasons. Number one, we need the space, because Emperor Charles the Great is a Link 1 monster, so he can only point to one direction, and she is going to cause issues getting out the second Emperor Charles. We get 2 of them. We'll go ahead and call him Charlemagne. That's a pet name people have for him, actually, to help you differentiate. So we need to get 2 Charlemagnes out, and she causes issues on the board, so we need to get her out of the way. The second reason that we get her out of the way is because she actually has a destruction effect on the opponent's turn. So if your opponent special summons a monster, while this is in the graveyard, you can target one fire monster you control and one monster your opponent controls and destroy them, and then special summon her. So we want her in the graveyard regardless because of that pop. We need her out of the way so we can get another Emperor Charles on the board, but she also has a third reason why we want her out, is because she locks us into fire monsters. This isn't so important for this combo, but there's multiple reasons we need to get her off the board. I kind of glossed over this, I apologize, but when Charlemagne is special summoned, he can target one Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles in the graveyard. His name becomes that target's original name, and it gains that target's original effects, and then you can equip Charles to this card as an equip spell that gives it 500 attack. So that's a lot, but basically he just gains another effect. He gains Emperor Charles's pop effect. Whenever a card is equipped with a spell or a monster, you can pop a monster on the board. He gains that effect outright, and he becomes that name, Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles, instead of Emperor Charles the Great. And he also has on top of him a once per turn spell trap negate by sending one equipped spell from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard. It also destroys that card, so if they're setting a continuous trap or continuous spell or a field spell, it's a pretty good idea to use this effect for it. Anywho, we'll go ahead and use Noble Arms Museum's second effect. You have to use the previous effect to get this effect, but its second effect lets you take one Infernoble Knight monster or Noble Knight card in the monster zone, or in the spell and trap zone as an equipped spell, and then lets you special summon it. So we use its effect to special summon Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles back to the field. This is somewhat important. I did not specify this before, but Charlemagne is a Link 1 monster that requires Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles to be equipped with an equip card. So you'll notice I cannot special summon it here. But the moment I use Almas onto Emperor Charles, which we want to do at this point, because we need Almas's effect for in a second, now we can special summon Charlemagne. So we'll go ahead and do that. We send him to the graveyard with Almas, which lets us trigger Almas's effect. You can chain these however you like. It's probably better to... I don't know if there's anything that can hand trap Almas, so it's probably better to grab Almas first, and then... This, when it's sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, lets you grab a monster in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. So this is how we gain access to Gearfried. So you want to chain block it with Charlemagne, I think is the better choice here. Because otherwise he still keeps his spell trap negate and doesn't, get Emperor Charles for whatever reason. Maybe a ghost spell happens, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it's probably more important to get Gearfried on the board than get him his name. So now we're going to go ahead and special summon Gearfried. You can banish whatever you want really here, except for Angelica's Angelic Ring. Everything has done its job already, but you might as well get rid of these bamboo cards. They're pretty much dead at this point, so I always like to target those. We special summon out Gearfried, and then that is essentially the end of the combo here. What you can do now is you can apply equip cards. These Infernoble Knight cards that you might not have activated. We haven't activated Ogier here. I like to save Ogier for the end because when she's equipped to a monster, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So you can use it to protect one of your Charlemagnes, you can use it to protect a Gearfried. Whichever card you value more, you can equip Ogier to it. Each Infernoble Knight has a protection in their equip. I don't know if I have anybody else in the graveyard. I don't. But a couple of them allow you to not even be able to be targeted at all. And then I think one of them also protects you from battle. But we'll go ahead and just use Ogier's effect here. And for the sake of explaining how Angelica's Ring works, I'm going to go ahead and only and give it to this Emperor Charles card. So during the end phase, a couple things are going to happen. One, Emperor Charles has an end phase effect that's going to happen, and the other thing that's going to happen is Angelica's going to come back from the banish zone. So we'll go ahead and end our turn. We'll go ahead and grab Angelica back. We'll put her here. It doesn't matter. And then we activate his effect. During the end phase, you can equip one equipped spell from your hand or graveyard to this card. Then you can equip one Fire Warrior monster from your deck to this card as an equipped spell that gives it 500 attack. So, what we want to grab out of our graveyard is Angelica's Angelic Ring. The reason for that is once per turn, while this card is equipped to a monster, you can gain 500 life points, then destroy this card. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong effect. Equip only to a monster you control equipped with an equip card. You can only control... here it is, sorry. Each turn, negate the effect of your opponent's first spell card or effect that resolves. So the reason this is important is because it can be used to negate things like Dark Ruler no more. That's insane. She actually stops Dark Ruler no more. I think she stops, all those other spell cards that say they can't be responded to. So very important that we get her onto the board. So she can only be equipped to a card that already has a card equipped to it. That's very important to keep in mind because we have two Emperor Charles on the board and only one of them has equipped cards on it. If I were to activate this Emperor Charles, I cannot grab her out of the graveyard because, again, I'll read the card for you. Equip only to a monster you control equipped with an equip card. So you need to make sure that when you are activating this end phase, you need to be selecting the correct Emperor Charles. You need to select the one that has something equipped to it. I have messed this up multiple times, so just make sure you don't. So we need to activate this Emperor Charles, and then he can grab the Angelica's Angelic Ring. And then we get to equip it with another card, and we can equip it from the deck. So at this point, like I said before, while this card is equipped, your opponent cannot target the monster equipped with card effects. While this card is equipped, the equipped monster cannot be destroyed by battle. Not sure which one you value more, but I think not being able to be targeted or destroyed by card effects is pretty insane. So I like to grab all over here. So now we have a 4,500 card that has a spell trap negate, a pop, and can't be targeted and cannot be destroyed by card effects. Crazy. There is an interaction I did want to go over with this combo while I'm in this solo mode. If you happen to think that Angelica's Angelic Ring only works on the first spell card that they play, that is not correct. It's the first card that has its effect resolved, like it said in the card effect. So if, let's say, this guy has a Dark Hole in his hand or a Dark Ruler no more, and he's trying to, let us go through and bait out her effect for this shitty ass card that they played, you can actually just activate Emperor Charles's effect. Sorry, this is actually Charlemagne's effect. To negate the activation of a spell card by sending an equipped spell you have to the graveyard. Be weary of what you're sending. You can send Emperor Charles to the graveyard. He's not super important at this point because they already have his effects. But we can go ahead and stop a spell card from activating, and Angelica's Angelic Ring is still active. And if you didn't notice it, we have 2 spell trap negates. These are not a hard once per turn. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of one of these. Make sure you don't get rid of Angelica's Angelic Ring. I'll go ahead and get rid of this one. So what we had on the end of this board, if I didn't go over it, We have 2 spell trap negates. We had a card that was untargetable and undestroyable by card effects. We have a monster negate in Phoenix Gearfried. As you can send an equip spell or equip card to the graveyard to negate a monster effect. I can't. I don't know if this is a hard once per turn or not, or if it's a soft once per turn. But he's a monster effect, and then we have a pop with Emperor Charles's effect. We have a pop with Promethean Princess's effect, and or I think that's it actually. We have the spell trap. We have the spell negate with Angelica's Angelic Ring. That's right. So crazy end board. If you're wondering how we get Emperor Charles's pop, we use Roland. So we can activate Roland's quick effect to equip himself to any of these cards. And then we can activate his effect. And you'll notice that even without Emperor Charles equipped, they still have his effect. They just gain it in perpetuity, unless you get impermed or something. So he's a pretty safe equip spell or equip card to send. All right, yeah. Cool. Yeah, okay. We'll go ahead and see you in the next one. All right. So we showed off first the 1-card combo that we have. So now I'll go ahead and show off a 2-card combo with in-engine cards. This combo can be facilitated with any combination of Renaud, Heritage of the Chalice, and Ogier. Any combination. We can't use 2 Heritage, so can't have 2 of those, but as long as we have one of the monsters and Heritage, this combo will work. So we're going to go ahead and ignore Maxi, Rhoda, and Noble Arms Museum for this combo. So what we can do is we need to grab Ogier first. And then normal summon Ogier. If we had Ogier with Heritage, we would have grabbed Renaud. And if we opened with Ogier and Renaud, we'd just go from there. But we go ahead and normal summon Ogier. And I mentioned before, Ogier and Angelica have the same job, depending on which combo you're using. So Ogier is going to send Gearfried this time instead of Turpin. We send Gearfried, and now that we have a Fire Warrior monster on the board, you can special summon Renaud. Renaud also has a secondary effect when it's special summoned that lets you grab a Fire Warrior monster or one of your equipped spells that's banished or in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. So we use that to get Gearfried in our hands. Quick and easy. Depending on what cards you have in your hand, maybe you have some equipped spells, you could actually get an early Gearfried if you wanted, but we'll get to him later for the purposes of this combo. So now we're going to use them to go into Isolde. Isolde's Link Summon effect. We activate that, and we're going to grab Fire Flint Lady. So it didn't matter as much last combo, but it matters a little bit on this combo what you grab, because we're going to use this card as discard fodder for one of our Infernoble cards later. So this could be anything, but I think it has to be a Fire Warrior monster, so make sure you're grabbing something that can actually be used. So we need to grab Fire Flint Lady here. Once we've done that, we're going to use Isolde's effect. And this time, instead of sending 4 cards, we're going to send 1 card because we need to grab Ricardetto this time. And I mentioned before, Very important to always get this in the graveyard. Angelica's Angelic Ring is what we're targeting here. This card is so insanely good. So we send that to grab Ricardetto. Now, Ricardetto has that Reborn effect. We're not going to activate that yet. We're actually just going to leave it alone for now. And then we're going to use these two materials on the board to grab Promethean Princess. We're going to use Promethean Princess's effect, and we're going to use it to grab Ricardetto. This is when we're going to use Ricardetto's effect. I don't know if it necessarily matters which order you do this in, but we're just going to go ahead and do it like this for now. And we're going to go ahead and grab Ogier. At this point, we're going to go ahead and go into Angelica. And this is how we are going to get access to our Noble Arms Museum. Again, we're ignoring the first one that we had in hand. So we go ahead and activate Noble Arms Museum's effect. And we're going to use it to grab Durendal. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. We're going to go ahead and use Ogier's effect to target Angelica. And then chain Angelica's effect to send herself to the banish zone. This time around, like I said, they had same jobs. She's going to send Turpin this time. And then we're going to special summon Captain Roland. So now that we've got our Durendal, we're going to use its effect on Roland. We could have used Noble Arms Museum here. This combo's, you know, pretty malleable. You can use it in any order that you want. But now that we've done this, you need to make sure that you don't use Durendal's effect yet. Because for Turpin's effect, we need an equipped monster, a card equipped with a card on the field. So make sure you don't brain fart that. Now that we've got him on the field, we can use Durendal's effect. And Durendal, this time, instead of grabbing, I think in the last combo we grabbed Ricardetto, this time we're grabbing Oliver. Maybe we grabbed him last time too. We're going to go into Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles with the cards on board. And from here, we're going to go ahead and use Roland's effect immediately, equipping himself to Emperor Charles. And again, like I mentioned before, we need to use Charles's effect to get rid of Promethean Princess for all those reasons that I stated before. From here, we're going to go into Charlemagne. We're going to use Charlemagne's effect to equip Emperor Charles to himself. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and use Noble Arm's second effect to special summon Charles back to the field. So, you'll notice that at this point, we don't have anything to equip to Emperor Charles to get our second Charlemagne into the field. But that's why we grabbed Oliver, because instead of going into a second Charlemagne, we're going to use him to go into Baron de Fleur. With this card, we're going to send our Fireflint Lady that we grabbed from Isolde's first effect to special summon himself out on the field. And when he does that, he becomes a level 1 tuner. So we can use both of these cards to synchro out Baron de Fleur. Now at this point, you can go ahead and use any of the equip cards that you have, or the Infernoble Knight cards to equip themselves to cards on the board. Oh, sorry. I almost forgot. You need to get out Gearfried. You're going to use the Durendal in the graveyard. You could have actually done this a while ago when you got Charles in the first place, and then had Gearfried on the board for any like Ash effects or whatever monster effects you wanted, but it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, get him out on the board as fast as possible. My bad. But at this point, we can go ahead and use whatever Infernoble Knight cards we have in our graveyard as equips. And I'll go ahead and use him. He allows the monster to not be targeted. I think probably the best card usually here is Charlemagne, because he has, you know, so much utility over the others. But now we'll go ahead and end our turn. And we use Angelica's effect. Oh! I apologize. We had to equip Oliver to Emperor Charles because of Angelica's effect. So make sure that you equip him. Always equip him, because we need him to have an equip card for Angelica's Angelic Ring. Sorry, this is all over the place. We'll go ahead and grab Ogier here just for the destruction protection. Yeah, so now we'll go ahead and review what we have on the board. We have a Spell Trap Negate. We have also a pop with his Emperor Charles effect. We have an Omni Negate. And a pop, but only activatable on your turn. We have a spell negate that can also be used for things like Dark Ruler no more. And then we have a monster negate. And then we also have another pop from Promethean Princess. So very, very good end board. I apologize for the scrambling at the end, but you can see it kind of the combos are pretty lenient on when you're doing some of these things and whatnot. But again, at the end of your turn, make sure that you have or you have Charlemagne equipped with a card so that you can grab Angelica's Angelic Ring, or else it won't work. And also make sure that when you're using his effect that you are picking the right one. For this combo, it doesn't matter too much because you don't have two on the board, but yeah. Just keep that in mind. Anyway, we'll go ahead and see you in the next one. Okay, perfect. This looks good. So for this last combo that I'm going to show off, I wanted to show you guys a way that you can avoid getting Nibiru'd, or essentially making Nibiru not worth shit. So this combo is gonna require Neo Space Connector or a way to get into Neo Space Connector, so Rhoda, and Renaud, or a way to get into Renaud. So again, Rhoda or Heritage of the Chalice. So there's a lot of ways to get this, but essentially what we need are ways to get into these two cards. So we'll go ahead and normal summon Neo Space Connector and activate its effect to grab our Dolphin. Activate Dolphin's effect. We'll go ahead and just send the museum, because why not? And then we get to look at their hand, we get knowledge, and then we get to possibly destroy one of their hand traps. So now that we have them on the board, we need to go into Isolde. This is going to be looking pretty standard, like what we've done with the other cards. So for this combo, we need to grab Fireflint Lady or a card that can be sent by Oliver to special summon itself. Yeah, so Oliver requires an equip spell or a fire warrior. So whatever you're grabbing, it could be like you could actually grab another Infernoble Knight if you wanted for more equip protection and stuff, but we'll just go ahead and use Fireflint Lady just like we usually do for these combos. So we activate Isolde's effect at this point, and we're going to send 4 cards this time. The 4 cards that we want to send are Angelica's Angelic Ring, Durendal, Living Fossil, and Cursed Bamboo Sword. We don't want to send Joyeuse or Almas this time, because depending on what happens, or depending on what your hand state looks like, you might want one over the other. But for the purposes of this combo, we're going to be using Almas. But either way, just make sure that you're sending these 4 cards for this combo. And then we're going to use that effect to summon out Ogier. Ogier is going to activate, chain Bamboo Sword, and then we'll get to grab Bamboo Sword. And then we use Ogier to send Turpin. So at this point, this is when we want to special summon out Renaud because we have a Fire Warrior monster. We use his effect to grab the Durendal in Grave. We need Durendal for later. So now you'll probably notice that we have 5 special summons. So you're probably wondering, how does this avoid Nibiru? So basically at this point, if they Nibiru you, you can actually play through it. So there's 2 things that are going to happen. Either A, they have Nibiru and they use it on you, in which case you just go on about your day and you can continue the combo. Or B, they have it or don't have it, or they have it and don't use it because they're silly, or they don't have it, basically. And in that situation, you get to special summon out Appaloosa. And then at this point, if they had it, you're already Nibiru proof, or if you didn't, you're gonna have, 3 monster negates for the next turn. So at this point, we're gonna use the Broken Bamboo Sword to equip itself to either A, the Appaloosa that we got to get out, or B, the Nibiru token. Once we have that equipped, we get to special summon back out of the grave Turpin. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and activate Durendal that we grabbed from with Renaud onto Turpin and use its effect to grab Oliver. This is when Oliver is going to activate and send Fireflint Lady, or whatever Fire Warrior you grabbed that you don't want to use later, to special summon himself out, make himself a level 1 tuner, and we can go on into Angelica. Angelica's effect activates to grab us a museum. And then we'll go ahead and use Museum's effect. And for this combo, we're going to be sending Gearfried to the grave, so we need to have Almas in our hand. If Gearfried was already in our hand, we could special summon him by his effect, or if there was a way we couldn't get to him, we'd have to use Joyeuse. But we're going to use Almas because he's going to be in the grave. So now we're going to use, you need to use Oliver's effect here. And not Ogier's, because we need Ogier in a second. The reason for that is because we're going to get Roland out, who is a tuner. And we need to have Ogier out, who is a non-tuner, so we can get into Charles. Oliver is a tuner, so 2 tuners won't work. So you need to use Oliver here to target Angelica so that you can get her chain effect to get the Gearfried into the graveyard. So make sure that you are being careful about that. So you're going to special summon out Roland. And now, because we activated Oliver, he can't activate anymore. So now we get to activate Ogier. We equip Roland with Ogier. And then this is when we're going to use Noble Arm Museum's secondary effect to special summon out Ogier. At this point, we'll go ahead and go into Emperor Charles. Now that we've got Emperor Charles onto the field, we don't want to use Roland's effect to get out Charlemagne, because we need to get Gearfried back into our hands. So we need to use Almas. And send it with Charles to link summon Charlemagne to activate Almas's effect. Chain block Almas to grab Gearfried, and then use Emperor Charles's effect to grab Emperor Charles. Oh, this deck gets so confusing. So now that we've done that, we want to go ahead and special summon out Gearfried. Like I said earlier in this video, just toss the bamboo sword. It's done its job. It doesn't matter anymore. Yeah, so now at the end of this combo, we're gonna get Angelica. We're gonna get some protection with Ogier, one of our other Infernoble cards, onto Charlemagne. And we're gonna have 3 monster negates, a spell trap negate, a pop, another monster negate, and also Angelica's spell negation. So, as always, we're going to use Angelica to bring herself back, and then Charles. Always make sure that Charles has something equipped so that you can grab Angelica's ring. And so here you have options, whichever one you want to grab. Cannot be destroyed by battle. I think that's the only one I can't. Yeah, cannot be destroyed by battle. We'll grab him. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and review again. So we have the spell negate, monster negate, 3 monster negate, spell trap negate, a pop, and cannot be destroyed by battle. So yeah. Sorry that this has been a little jumbled and a little all over the place. I'm somewhat learning the deck myself. I figured I'd get this out there just because some people might find it easier to look over the combos in video form. I kind of feel that way myself. And figured it would help me learn the deck as well. But yeah, so I hope it wasn't too confusing or annoying to follow along. And I hope you guys enjoy the deck. It's really strong. I think it's gonna have issues going second, like most of these decks. I feel like a lot of decks have issues going second. There are some that don't, but I think this is definitely one of those that has some clear issues going second. It also gets pretty destroyed by, you know, Imperm or an Ash Blossom or something like that, depending on where they use it. It can really screw you over. Droll is pretty bad to run into. Obviously, Max C sucks. But if you can get to your end board, it is almost never going to get beat. It's a really strong end board. Almost in every single combo you can do. It also has some decent protections with an early Gearfried, so yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you again soon. Or never. Have a good one.